There comes a moment when silence is louder than screams, when you're staring at the ruins of your life and nobody is coming to pull you out. The people you trusted, gone. The love you gave, abandoned. The version of you that tried to be good, soft, kind, is lying in pieces at your feet, and maybe you've heard it. The whisper in your head telling you to give up, telling you this is it. But something stirs inside. Not hope, not light. Something darker, something stronger. A will to rise, not as the person you once were, but as something colder, sharper, unstoppable. This isn't a comeback. This is your rebirth, from ashes to ice. Watch this video till the end if you're ready to destroy the old you and become untouchable. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this speaks to your soul. There's a moment in pain where everything goes quiet. Not peaceful, quiet. The kind that screams underneath. The kind where the world keeps moving, but inside you, everything feels suspended. Like your soul is holding its breath, waiting to be told if it's allowed to break. You keep asking, why me? Why now? What did I do to deserve this? But pain doesn't come with explanations. It doesn't knock first. It arrives like a storm, ripping through everything you built, your plans, your certainty, your sense of who you thought you were. And at first, it feels like it's destroying you, like it's taking pieces you'll never get back, like you're being punished, emptied, made small. But if you stay with it long enough, if you stop running from it, stop numbing it, stop trying to dress it up as something else, you'll realize pain isn't the end. It's the beginning. Pain doesn't come to ruin you. It comes to remove what was never real to begin with. The lies you told yourself to feel safe. The people who only stood beside you when you were easy to love. The false strength you wore like armor, because being vulnerable once cost you more than you could afford. Pain doesn't ask permission to take these things. It just takes them. And then it waits to see what's left. And what's left is you. The real you. Raw. Unfiltered. No performance. No masks. Just the version of you that's finally honest enough to admit what hurt you, and brave enough to become something more because of it. This isn't destruction. This is shedding. This is skin that no longer fits. This is a fire. That doesn't burn you alive. It burns you clean. Yes, it hurts. It's supposed to hurt. Transformation doesn't happen in comfort. Growth doesn't show up in applause. You change when you're cracked open, when there's nowhere to hide, and nothing left to protect. So stop fearing the pain. Stop asking it to be gentle. Let it come. Let it tear. Let it show you what you've outgrown. Because the pain you feel right now, that deep ache in your chest, that silence no one understands, that moment you think you won't survive, that is your evolution in motion. You're not falling apart. You're breaking out. You're not being punished. You're being rebuilt. And the version of you waiting on the other side of this, they don't flinch. They don't explain. They don't carry what they've outlived. They've walked through the fire, and they never looked back. It's not the loud betrayals that leave the deepest cuts. It's the quiet. The stillness after everything falls apart. The moment when the last door closes and no one looks back. No calls, no messages, just you. And that silence. You thought the pain was in the losing, in the goodbye. But the real weight comes after, when the world keeps spinning like you never mattered, when your absence feels louder than your presence ever did. That's when the silence creeps in, and it's not peaceful. It's hollow, cold. It presses against your chest like something is trying to escape from the inside. And it's in that silence you meet a version of you that's been buried under noise, the one who's done begging. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop hoping they'll see what they did. You stop needing to be understood. And something shifts, quietly, violently, without asking permission. You begin to change. You learn how to breathe without validation. You get used to your own voice, The one that used to whisper in doubt now starts to speak with certainty. You start noticing who never clapped unless you were small, who only loved you when you were broken enough to be controlled, who left when you finally asked for more, and instead of shrinking from the truth, you hold it. You look it in the eye. The silence teaches you to be brutal with your growth, honest with your needs. It forces you to become your own protector, your own weapon, your own rescue. And it's not some cinematic transformation. It's not pretty. It's not poetic. It's war inside you. You sharpen in that silence, alone, while no one's watching, while no one believes, while no one offers help. You build piece by piece, quietly stacking strength on top of pain, focus on top of loneliness. And when you return, you're not looking for approval. You're not asking to be seen. You're not hoping they understand. Because now, you are unrecognizable. You don't flinch like you used to. You don't chase. You don't explain. You walk different. You speak different. You carry something they can't define. Something forged in the hours they forgot about you. And they won't know how you did it. They won't see the nights you barely made it through. The battles no one applauded. The silent screams you turned into strategy. But you'll know. Because the silence didn't break you. It built you. And when monsters are made, they don't roar. They rise. Quiet. Focused. And unstoppable. They didn't just lie. They studied you first. Learned your soft spots. Gained your trust not by accident, but by calculation. And when you finally let them in, fully, deeply, they turned what they knew into a weapon. They used your openness against you. They used your love like it was leverage. And when they were done, they left you with the mess. And the worst part isn't even what they did. It's what it did to you. The confusion, the shame, the self-blame. You started wondering if maybe it was your fault for being too open, too loyal, too trusting. But let's make something clear. The betrayal wasn't your weakness. It was theirs. You loved with both hands. You showed up real. You gave without conditions. And yes, they broke it. They cracked something inside you. But good, let it crack. Because from now on, you rebuild different. You've learned the hard way that not everyone deserves access to your heart. Not everyone should get a front row seat in your life. And love, trust, those are earned. Slowly, painfully, through consistency and truth, not charm and promises. You don't need to turn cold. You don't need to lose your soul. But you do need armor, real armor. The kind that doesn't come off just because someone knows the right words. The kind that protects not just your heart, but your time, your peace, your energy. Because from now on, trust isn't given. It's tested. The next time someone wants in, they won't find the same version of you. They'll find someone sharper. Someone who listens more than they speak. Someone who can still love, but now with eyes wide open. You'll stop mistaking potential for proof. You'll stop believing that effort means loyalty. You'll wait. You'll watch. You'll see. And maybe you'll let someone in again, but only after they walk through fire. The same fire you survived. See what they meant to break. Ended up building you. They thought the damage would keep you fragile, but all it did was make you more precise. So no, you're not bitter. You're just not blind anymore. You've earned this armor. You wear it now, not because you're scared, but because you finally understand your worth. And from this point forward, no one gets close unless they prove they won't burn what you've built. At some point, they told you to heal, to breathe, to take it slow, to give yourself time. But no one tells you what to do when the time runs out, and the pain is still there. No one tells you how to live in the in-between, not broken, but not whole. And that's where you've been, stuck in this quiet war inside your head, where every step forward still feels like dragging chains. Healing sounds soft, but what you're going through isn't soft. You're not trying to go back to who you were, because that version of you didn't see it coming. That version trusted too easily, gave too freely, believed too blindly. So why would you ever want to return to that? You're not here to return. You're here to become. You've survived things people don't even know you carry. The silence, the betrayals, the nights where your mind wouldn't shut up and your heart begged for peace. You've played strong when you had nothing left. You kept showing up, bleeding internally, but smiling because no one could afford to see you collapse. And now it's not about healing anymore. It's about building something so sharp, so grounded, so clear, that no one ever gets the chance to break it again. This is where you stop looking for the old light and start building fire. Where you stop apologizing for how cold you've become, because that cold is what kept you alive. You don't flinch anymore when people walk away. You don't wait for the apology that never comes. You don't shrink yourself just to make others comfortable. Because becoming isn't polite. It's brutal. It's lonely. It's choosing to grow teeth where you once had softness. It's learning to walk through the world without asking for permission to exist. And maybe you've been labeled too much now. Too distant, too harsh, too guarded. But they don't know what it took for you to get here. They don't know what it cost you to finally say, I won't go back. So no, you're not healing anymore. You're becoming into someone who no longer begs to be understood. Someone who doesn't look for safety. They are the storm. And the next time the world tries to test you, they won't be ready for what they find. Because the quiet one they thought was broken now stands unshakable. Not softer, not the same, but forged, unforgiving, and finally, untouchable. There was a time when everything hit too deep. One word, one look, one silence, and your whole world would spiral. Your emotions used to run the show. Guilt made you apologize for things that weren't your fault. Sadness kept you stuck in rooms you had outgrown. Hope kept you holding on to people who already let go. You used to be at the mercy of what you felt, and it made you vulnerable. Not in a beautiful way, but in a way that left you wide open, unprotected, exposed to anyone who wanted to manipulate, use, or control you. But something changed, didn't it? There came a day, or maybe 1,000, small ones, where you realized emotions weren't helping you. They were dragging you, delaying you, making you question your worth every time someone else pulled away. And so you did what most people can't. You pulled back. Not because you stopped caring, but because you couldn't keep bleeding every time the world threw another knife. You learned to stop feeling, not because you lost your soul, but because you finally chose to protect it. Now, you operate differently. Now you don't break when people leave. You don't react to noise that once set your world on fire. You move with a stillness that used to scare you, and now it empowers you. Cold isn't heartless. It's measured. It's the ability to show up and do what needs to be done, even when your chest is heavy, even when your hands shake, even when the past whispers loud, because you're not waiting anymore. Not for closure, not for an apology, not for someone to see the weight you carry and offer you peace. You've stopped depending on emotion to drive you. Now you use it when it serves you, and put it down when it doesn't. They'll say you've changed, that you don't smile the same, that you've become distant, detached, cold, but they'll never understand what it cost you to get here. To feel nothing, and still do everything. To wake up with chaos in your chest and move like you've already won the war. That's power, that's control. And that's the kind of silence no one can shake. So no, you're not numb. You're awake. You're focused. You're finally free from the leash of your own emotions. And now you don't bend. Now you don't pause. Now, you move. On your terms. In your time. With nothing in your way. Not even you. They told you being alone was something to fear, that if no one was around, something must be wrong. That silence meant rejection. That solitude meant failure. And for a while, you believed them. You stayed close to noise, to people, to movement, even when it didn't feel right, even when it drained you. You surrounded yourself just to feel something, anything. Because somewhere deep down, you thought being alone meant you weren't enough. But the truth is, being surrounded doesn't mean you're connected. It doesn't mean you're seen. You can stand in a room full of people and still feel like you're screaming into a void. You can laugh at their jokes and still go home empty. And that's when it started to change. Not in some dramatic way, but slowly. You began to pull back, stopped replying so fast, stopped showing up where you weren't respected, just expected. You started choosing quiet over noise, solitude over performance, and they noticed. They said you were distant. They assumed you were struggling, but they didn't understand what was really happening. You weren't falling apart. You were rebuilding. You weren't lost. You were sharpening. Because isolation isn't a curse. It's a forge. It's where you finally start hearing your own voice, not theirs. It's where you see clearly, not what you were told to see, but what's actually real. It's where you start asking harder questions and facing harder truths. In isolation, there are no masks to hide behind, no applause to chase, just you, raw, unfiltered, honest. And that's where the shift begins. You stop needing to prove yourself. You stop begging to be understood. You stop breaking yourself to fit into places that were never built to hold you, because in that silence, you start building something no one can take from you. Clarity, discipline, intent. And while the world keeps chasing noise, likes, applause, temporary comfort, you're doing the thing that actually matters. You're becoming. They won't understand it. They'll question it. They might even laugh at it. But when you emerge, and you will, you won't need to explain. Your presence will speak louder than anything you could ever say. Because real growth doesn't beg to be noticed. It just becomes undeniable. So no, isolation didn't break you. It armed you. And now you're not coming back the same. You're coming back sharper, calmer, focused. And this time, you won't be asking for a seat. You'll be building your own table. There was a time when everything got to you. A word, a glance, a delay, a silence. Your peace could be shattered by someone else's bad day or their indifference. You'd stay up overanalyzing messages, trying to decode what you did wrong, trying to fix things, please people, always in reaction mode, always bleeding for moments that didn't deserve your energy. You thought caring meant control. You thought giving all of yourself would protect you from being abandoned. But instead, it turned you into a puppet, pulled around by emotions you couldn't tame, anchored to people who didn't even know the weight they carried in your life. And then one day, something snapped. Not in anger, but in exhaustion. You didn't want to fight anymore. Not with them, not with yourself. You were tired of needing closure. Tired of chasing validation like a drug. Tired of building your mood on someone else's behavior. So you stopped. Not out of bitterness. Not because you gave up, but because you finally saw the truth. Freedom doesn't come from control. It comes from detachment. You started to feel the shift. The space between the trigger and your reaction widened. You began watching instead of responding. You heard the insult and felt nothing. You saw them leave and didn't chase. You noticed your old wounds trying to reopen and chose not to scratch them. Detachment isn't coldness, it's clarity. It doesn't mean you don't love. It means you love with strength, not desperation. It means you can walk away, even if your heart stays behind for a while. It means you can care deeply and still choose peace over chaos. When you're detached, you're no longer a slave to the game. You see people for who they are, not for who you want them to be. You stop needing apologies to move forward. You stop needing recognition to know your worth. You don't react to disrespect. You remove access, quietly, completely. That's the real win. Not revenge, not applause. Just inner stillness that no one can shake. Because when nothing controls your emotions, no one controls you. And when you get to that place, where love doesn't weaken you, where hate doesn't move you, where silence isn't loneliness but strength, you're no longer playing the game. You've outgrown it. You don't win by being louder. You win by being untouchable, by walking away with your soul intact, by mastering the final weapon they never saw coming. Detachment. There's a quiet in you now, not the kind that screams for attention, but the kind that fills the space between doubt and fire. You've carried the weight of their words, the sneers, the underestimates. You've felt the sting of being ignored, of being unseen when you poured everything into being visible. But listen closely. You don't owe anyone an explanation. You don't owe anyone a spotlight. Let them keep talking. Let them settle into their small minds and small worlds, comfortable in their disbelief, because you are moving in ways they can't even sense yet. You're building where no one is watching. You're grinding through the quiet hours, while the noise of their judgment fades into background static. The hunger inside you has outgrown the need for approval. The only proof you need is in the work you do, the changes you make, the power you claim in silence. You don't rise for applause. You rise because you have to. Because the version of you that's waiting to emerge is sharper, stronger, and ruthless in its clarity. You aren't here to compete for a seat on their stage. You're here to create a force they can't ignore. The storm doesn't ask for permission. It doesn't announce itself. It just comes, relentless and undeniable. No more posts crafted to impress. No more begging for validation in the eyes of strangers. You've seen how fleeting attention is. You've felt how empty it leaves you. Now, you want something real. You want impact that echoes beyond a moment, presence that bends the atmosphere itself. When you move like this, when your progress speaks louder than words, you become untouchable. Your success isn't a trophy you wave. It's a shift in the ground beneath them. And this is your quiet revolution. It's not about making noise or being seen. It's about becoming the storm they never saw coming. It's about living your rise so fully that it becomes the unspoken answer to every doubt and every sneer you ever endured. You don't need to shout over their silence because your presence will shout for you. They'll wake up one day and feel it, the force you've become. They won't understand where it came from, only that it's real, it's powerful, and it's unstoppable. And in that moment, your rise becomes more than a victory. It becomes their reckoning. So keep moving, keep building. Let the quiet be your shield and your weapon. Because when you finally show up, you won't just be standing. You'll be the storm that no one can ignore.